Hi guys, so what I'm going to do to you today is I'm going to talk about dynamics of a sect, and it's just going to be a short summary, and it's going to really reflect a diagram or a sort of an image that I'm going to send out to you. It's a diagram of the life cycles of sects, and I've tried to explain it from different theories and kind of combine it into one diagram. So just to recap where we have been, we've looked at church, sect and denomination. We've also covered cult as part of church, but for the time being I want to focus on church, sect and cult. Church were introduced by Weber. He came up with that typology, that category, along with sect, but predominantly church was what he introduced in the 1900s. Troeltsch came along in 1912 and he developed Weber's work further. So he drew comparisons between church and sect. He also introduced the concept of cult. And the easy way I always remember who created who is obviously with Troeltsch, you've got S-E-C-T, so you can spell sect, and in his name you've also got C-L and a T, so you can also spell cult. And then with denomination we have Niebuhr. Now again, I kind of use the same tactic to remember Niebuhr. So in terms of denomination, you've got N, E, I. So you've got some of the letters of denomination in his name, but he introduced denomination as a third category in 1929. So in terms of dynamics of sects, we'll go through a couple of theories. I'll go through the diagram of what they say about the life cycle of a sect and church and denomination, and then we'll finally combine all the theories onto one diagram. So Stark and Bainbridge introduced the Sectarian Cycle, and this is church, sect, denomination. And what they found in their dynamic was that you start with the church and you might find internal fervor or conflict develops within the church. So you see the privileged and disprivileged members developing a bit of tension. The deprived members will break away from the church in a schism, and that will form a world rejecting sect. So we see church developing into or breaking off from the church to form a sect. And it's more, as we know of a sect, it's more extreme views, it's quite different attitudes to the outside world, quite exclusive, quite closed. Now what will happen is the sect membership may grow, and if the religion grows, the sect grows, they will start to water down their beliefs. They'll have this process of internal secularization. Or as the religion becomes more powerful, as the group becomes more powerful, they will adopt a world accommodating viewpoint. They start to break down their traditional hardcore beliefs. This can eventually lead to fervor, as we mentioned before, or tension with the wider society, and how it, and obviously ultimately leads to it reducing. And we also might see this concept of Protestant work ethic, a concept introduced by Weber. So the idea being that as people see membership or members of the religion become successful, gain wealth, gain status from their membership, it will maybe encourage others to accommodate or adopt the same style, and therefore the sect will grow. It will turn into a denomination, and then as the denomination continues to grow, it will continue to water down its beliefs. That will lead to further internal secularization. It becomes more world accepting, and the tension with outside society reduces even more. And ultimately this leads to it becoming a church. And then what happens is the cycle will repeat. So we'll see this new church, we'll see the internal fervor, conflict, the breakaway group who form a sect. That sect will then eventually potentially grow into a denomination, and particularly linking it to the Protestant work ethic, so people see the sect members gain status, wealth, success, and will join because they want the same. As it grows into denomination, it will turn to establishment, so it will become a church. It will establish itself, and what happens is we then come back to the church and we have the cycle repeat over and over again. So that's Stark and Bainbridge's sectarian cycle. So church to sect, sect to denomination, denomination back to church, and the cycle just loops round and round and round. Now the next set of arguments we have is Niebuhr. Now Niebuhr doesn't talk about the church at all. He ignores the church. He focuses solely on sects and denominations. And it's ultimately, his argument is that a sect will die or it will grow into a denomination. So it is part of that sectarian cycle that Stark and Bainbridge talked about, that kind of this area across the bottom half. You know, that is the same process, but he focused on it in Niebuhr's work. Now, Niebuhr said that a sect will die. That's one option for sect death. Now, death can come in a number of ways. So Barker talked about how it might be difficult for members to maintain high commitments, and members leave. They can't maintain those high level commitments, and it doesn't fit with their life, so they choose to leave the sect. Members may change their position, so it's kind of you know, they've joined because they lack status and wealth, and they don't feel they have a purpose. They achieve their goals and they leave the religion. So it's kind of, if it's too successful. Or actual death is the other option. So you might see like Heaven's Gate, People's Temple, the membership commit mass suicide, and therefore the religion, or the sect, sorry, actually dies. Now, we also see the generational effect, a form of dying out, and this is where children who are born into the sect, into the religion, don't hold as strong a set of beliefs or commitment to it. So this is what happens in examples like Children of God and what we've seen in the Westboro Baptist Church. The younger membership who were born into religion, as they've grown older, don't feel the values as strongly as older members, and they leave. The other option for a sect, as opposed to dying or declining, is, as I mentioned before, is that success. And this can come in two ways, turning from a sect to a denomination. So we might see the Protestant work ethic, as we mentioned before, where the members gain success, they gain wealth, status, it encourages other people to join the sect. That sect grows in status and power, and it eventually becomes a denomination. We might also see this happen with the death of a leader. So we might, for example, the Unification Church, the Moonies, they had a charismatic leader. That leader dies, and it then changes the characteristics. So there's no longer a charismatic leader running the church, and the church adapts to create a council of leaders, and it starts to form more into the structure of a denomination with bureaucracy and a hierarchy of members. Wilson introduced his argument and talked about answering the call. Now, he doesn't talk about churches, doesn't really look at anything else other than the sect and denomination. Again, a bit like Niebuhr in that respect. But his argument comes in two ways. So Wilson talked about the sects, and he said there are two types. You have conversionist sects and Adventist sects. I've got to try and use that word sect carefully. Now, with the Adventist sects, they live in isolation. They remain the same. They go unchanged. They stay as they are. And as a result, they stay a sect, effectively. So Pentecostalists, Quakers, they remain quite small. They maintain their kind of very exclusive membership, and they don't really grow into denominations. Conversionists, on the other hand, as the name suggests, they convert members. They want to amass and grow in membership. So the Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, they would be examples of a conversionist sect, and as a result, they grow in numbers and they become a denomination. So that would be Wilson's answering the call sect. So they either stay the same and Adventists and just keep going as they are, or they convert into a bigger denomination by gaining members. And last but not least, we see Yinger, who talks about an established sect. So no discussion of church, no focus on denomination, purely sect, and it's actually just one type of sect that Yinger talks about. He talks about the Amish, and the idea being that the Amish, you know, they live in isolation, they cut themselves from the outside world, they haven't changed their practices in generations, so they stay relatively unchanged. And again, this is very similar to Wilson's Adventists. Wilson's Adventists is slightly different on the basis that it's about how the religion approaches outside membership, whether they convert members or stay the same. And actually, if we were using Wilson's Adventists, the Amish would count as an example of Adventists. But Yinger kind of called them established sects, and more specifically in this idea. So there we have Yinger. And then just to put it all together, and this is a diagram I will be sending to you. This is all of them together on one sheet as a sort of a little reminder. Again, for me, I'm quite a visual learner. This works for me, and it kind of helps me understand processes and how it all fits together. You may look at this and think it's a hot mess and it makes no sense. So depends what you feel. If you like it and it makes sense to you, use it. If it doesn't, ignore it. If you want to use the individual diagrams, because that works for you better, I'd say you do that. That'd be the best thing for you. But this is just an overview of the dynamics of a sect and the different combinations and the ways the processes fit together. Okay, thanks for watching.